Welcome to Create a Wow Life. My name is Jessica Peterson. I am a real estate agent out in beautiful sunny Florida and the founder of Simply Wow Agency. I am excited to go ahead and reveal to you different ways you can wow people, your business, and you. Definitely, many of you have wowed me. If I can connect you with the right people, resources, house, or business, let me know. Are you ready to create a wow life? Don't forget to subscribe, click on the bell for notifications. Let's go. Hello, everyone. This is Jessica Peterson with Simply Wow Agency and a real estate agent with the Luxury Team brokered by eXp Realty. And today I'm so excited to have Deb Scott, part of Create a Wow Life series. Hey, Deb.
Wow! I'm so happy.
I know, and I'm so happy to have you here as well. So Create a Wow Life is all about how to wow other people, wow your business, and create a wow life yourself. And today I actually found two main golden nuggets in this book of yours. The sky is green and the grass is blue. Look at that award. You sent this to me with purple sparkles, and the packaging was just incredible. I don't know if anyone can still see all the purple sparkles. There's sparkles all around there. And if anybody's listening, just envision this beautiful book it came with purple tissue paper and purple sparkles. So you definitely wowed me by sending me this book, and I call it little Debisms.
Little Debisms.
Because you have some very good golden nuggets in this book. That's why I'm holding it up against me right now. There are some golden nuggets in here, and anybody that knows, I'm a certified business coach and I'm a real estate agent. Everyone calls me a connector. I love connecting good people. So anyone listening today, if they want to be connected with Deb, or if Deb's willing to give her information, they're more than welcome to connect with you. Oh, there we go. What was that?
The cuckoo clock from Switzerland that I got with Rachel, friend Rachel, mom and dad, yes.
And I know you highlighted them a lot in your book, which is pretty powerful. So I know we only have 20 minutes or less. What I want to go ahead and do is dive into some of these golden nuggets for anyone listening. And they're definitely going to go ahead and learn from it. So you ready to share some of that insight?
Yes, but I just have to pause to thank you very much for allowing me to be on your show. And I really find you, the one word is fascinating. And I always call you my boss, but I guess you're my mentor and coach as well. And I just thank you very much for having me on, because you are a wow girl.
You are a wow girl too, and you are going to be a future wow power player for Venice, Florida. So stay tuned, anyone out there in Venice, Florida. I'm very excited as well. I'm creating a community of wow power players on a mission to wow one person a day, and I'm grateful and honored that you said yes. You wow people every day. And Deb, you spoke about that in your book, which really hit me hard and touched my heart, because that's what it's about at the end of the day. And we're going to get to that in just a moment. And I actually probably should title this one. It's going to be one of two different series. Once you accept that you don't know what you don't know, you are open to receive.
Yes. Yes.
I really like that. When did that happen to you in your life?
Well, there were a lot of things in the front of the book. I go through the litany of all the things that happen that seem so, wow, catastrophic, whether they be the sexual abuse, sole caregiver for parents, $1 million loss, dysfunctional family, the alcoholism in the family, whatever it is. And I think that trying to disarm that and say, okay, how do you make that good? How do you make that bad stuff good? And through lots of work and therapy, and I have a chapter in there on that, and coaching, good coaches, and a lot of prayer and a lot of reading and a lot of self-examination and a lot of getting on my hands and knees, crawling over the glass. It was one of those epiphany moments that I think your guardian angel knocks you on the head over the big hair and says, you know what you think and what you feel is none of your business. It's not the truth. You don't know anything. If you think about 7 billion people on planet Earth, you think about how many people are unrepeatable, like you and me. Even twins are different. If you think of all the knowledge that you've read in every single book in all of time, and you look at that timeline, which spans, I don't know, millions and millions of years, how much do you know of that? Our life is like a little speck in a big timeline. So we don't know anything. And everybody thinks that they have the right answer. Everybody's concerned with being right instead of being honest. Everybody's concerned with, I want you to hear me rather than I want to understand who you are. And it's so I don't want to say self-centered because there's a healthy part of that. But when you're open to believing that there are more possibilities than you can imagine, the sky's the limit. It's another saying, don't think outside the box, get rid of the box. Mm-hmm. So if you actually consider, of all the knowledge in the world, you know maybe this much, that leaves you to how many answers, how many solutions, how many possibilities. So that takes, if you know this much knowledge, you know what that makes your problem? This big. And your solution this big.
Yeah, solution big, yes.
So really, it's very freeing, isn't it? To think about somebody else has been there, somebody else has the answer. You know, I can learn from Jessica, I can learn from the grocery store person, I can learn from anybody. So you don't know what you don't know. And every time you think you're stuck in a rut, you don't know what you don't know. There's an answer out there, there's a solution, there's a greater good. Mm-hmm. It helps me get through the day.
And I love to learn, and that's why I'm creating this series. I'm learning, sharing that wisdom and knowledge with everybody else, and pay it forward. So anyone listening, please share this with others, because we're all here to learn from each other how to create a wow life. And it looks different for every single person, which is so exciting, right? That would be a scary world if there were thousands of me, and that would probably be boring, right? I love variety.
If it was you were repeatable. But think of it like if everybody loved to be a cardiac surgeon, right? Then the plumbing wouldn't get done. If everybody loved being a life coach, then there would be nobody to coach. I mean, it's great that we're all different. So it's not as if there was an autistic movie, and I don't remember who the PhD was, but her mother used to say, different, not better or worse, or something like that. And it's like we're all different. It's not right or wrong. It's near or far. And if we can reframe that, if I have a nice picture of you and you have a lot of beautiful pictures in the back behind you of all these people that love you and send you notes, but if you put each one in a different frame, that entire collage would look different. So just by a simple frame, you've changed the landscape. And I hope that you don't know what you don't know changes our landscape. In this minute, just consider that. Millions of possibilities.
Absolutely. I know we're on limited time. We have so much information to cover here from your books. We'll dive into, I know some people are probably familiar with the donkey story. And if they are, it's a great reminder. If not, you're going to have probably an aha moment. So share with us the donkey story, Deb.
Oh my gosh, you'll do it quicker. You should share it, because you'll be the abbreviated version and I'll be the long version. You want me to go? I'll try to make it short. As people can tell, I'm not very condensed. I don't do Cliff Note Debs. Okay, so the donkey story. This guy, he wanted to get rid of his donkey. The donkey was whining. He says, I can't take it. I don't have the money for the donkey. The donkey goes in the pit. He invites all his friends over. They're going to just shovel the dirt on the donkey. So the donkey's just going to get shoveled because the donkey was of no use anyway. So they're just going to basically bury the donkey alive. And the donkey's whining, like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And then all of a sudden the donkey stops whining. You're making me want to sit up. And the donkey stops whining, and they're wondering, why is the donkey not whining? And they look down, and what happens? Ta-da! The donkey comes up, runs away totally free, because what the donkey did, every time the dirt fell on the donkey's back, he shook it off, fell to the ground, and then he took a step up. And every time he shook it off and took a step up, he got higher and higher. So the irony of the story is, not only did the donkey shake off the bad stuff and use that as the stepping stone to take a step up and be alive, had the guy that owned him never wanted to put him in the pit in the first place, he would never have total freedom. He would have still been in the owner's possession. So the total freedom came through the very thing that made him whine and cry. And I think that can be true for all of us with a little help. And that's what I hope the book does. And that's what you do. And that's what I hope sometimes I do.
You do. You absolutely do. You're such a gift. So I like how you say you can't unscramble those scrambled eggs. Why waste a good worry? So often people worry over nothing. I mean, would you agree with me? I mean,
Oh
worry,
my,
it's
yeah.
like a fantasy, right? It's just essentially a fantasy, and most of the time the worry is worthless.
Yes. Worry is worthless. There's a Jessica-ism. Worry, the worthless worry. That could be a title of a book, The Worthless Worry. Yes, and I think that most of the things that I worry about haven't come true. And to just add to that and echo that, most of the things that I love the most in my life, I never planned. So isn't that interesting? The things we think are going to happen don't. The things we love and appreciate the most, we never expected. So again, it gets back to my life is none of my business. Thank you very much, God. And to be open to listen, to pay attention to the signs, and to look at
Yes.
things as a positive. But I love the scrambled eggs because it's like, okay, I can't fix that now because I want to go back to the past and it wastes. But if you can do something, you can make an omelet now. So there's something else that can be good that can come out of it.
I love that one. And here's another quote. You said, be open-minded because you don't know what you don't know. I like how you really seem to stress that. I really like that. I also really like your illustration about a car, right? And the ignition. Do you want to elaborate on that one for anyone listening?
Yes, it seems very simple. And you use this a lot in your coaching teaching with the 4 tires. So it must be great minds think alike. I don't know why the car, because we think of a car that we want to get somewhere in life.
Yes.
Somebody's listening to you because they want to feel better. They want to get relief from pain, or they're listening to me because they want to learn something, whatever it is. So think of a car as a vehicle to take us somewhere. So we're getting in a car and okay, we've got the car. We're in the car. We own the car. But guess what? There's a tiny little key. And even if we hold it, the car stays put. You and I have to take an action to take that car, put the key in, and turn the ignition. And sometimes in life, we have to remember that there's something required of us to receive something in return. But it doesn't have to be a big thing because that little key can get us to destinations from Boston to San Francisco. So we have to stop thinking in terms of it has to be big, it has to be difficult, it has to be whatever. We need to start looking for the treasures and the precious jewels. The diamonds are small, but they're priceless. Friendships, moments. I think this COVID being inside, all of a sudden we appreciate a handshake or a hug, or we've had to be with ourselves and understand, who am I? Can I enjoy my own company? These are gifts. And that little tiny key, you pick it up and you put it in your hand. You can't move the car. You and I can't move the car, right? But that little key that we have control and power to turn, that's our life. That's worth it. Aren't we worth it?
Yes, and I like how you said action, taking the action. And another part in here said, what you focus on becomes. And I'm a firm believer in, and I wrote about it in one of my books, how thoughts are powerful. What you think about actually does become. And then here, I like how you give little exercises for people to take some action and to engage people. And it says to really think about this right now in this moment. What is something you want to get rid of?
Right.
And I like that question. I want to stop doing blank. I want to end feeling blank. I really like how you engage people with that. I want to have what? I want to have what more in your life? I want to start doing what? I want to start feeling what? Right? And this is really good. I wrote about this in my book, Create a Wow Life, on taking on the journey. And some of that is what do you want to feel in your day? What does a wow life look like for you and you feel? And every person's so different. I like how you make that really actionable for each person. What would you say some of the common responses are that you received, Deb?
It's funny because when I do speaking, or I used to do more speaking. I hope to do some more speaking. So if anybody needs me to do speaking, but it's interesting. Most people say, I'm going to be happy when I have more money, or I would be happy if my marriage was better, or if I got this job, then I'd be at peace. And the problem with all those stipulations is that those are all external, outside of you, bringing you the happiness. So what happens is you can find somebody that has every single answer that you put in that exercise, right? And somebody was probably answering in their mind where they do the exercise. And somebody else has that. But I guarantee you that out of 7 billion people on planet Earth, somebody has that and is still unhappy. So is that the key to happiness? No. The key to happiness is the peace we have within ourselves, the peace of I'm unique. God created me for a specific reason, for a specific person in this specific time, to share my time, treasure, and talents in a specific way, and to not be afraid to do whatever it is that we have to do. And I'm the first one that's, complaining about whatever. Yeah. I have to eat my own words frequently, but it's very interesting, isn't it? That what we think make us happy doesn't necessarily do that.
Yes. And as my daughter always say, I taught her, you think you're happy, you're happy. You think you're sad, you're sad. So I always taught her thoughts are powerful. And that's had a huge impact in my life. I didn't have the best upbringing, the best life story. And people are always fascinated how I got where I am. And there's many, many different factors, but one of them is your thoughts. They are powerful. And I also really like how you mentioned, because you used to be in medical sales before real estate. Now I'm grateful you are part of me as a WOW Power Player in real estate at eXp Realty. You spoke about how you're always going to have someone who disagrees with your decision. Like, let's just be real. You're always going to find someone, I don't agree. That's great, right? I mean, that's fine. So you said let's say 25% will disagree with your decision. 75% will absolutely love what you're doing. Are you going to focus on that 25% or the 75%, right?
Yes. And I learned that from a friend of mine, Bob McDonough, the operating room director at Massachusetts General Hospital, who I was in operating room with a lot. And he said, Deb, and I was in my 20s, he said, Deb, you got to just remember 75% is 100%, because there will always be 25% that can't stand you. So I'll have a certain portion of people that will say, I can't stand that big hair on you, Deb Scott. And then there's another person that says, how did you get your hair that big, Deb Scott? I like it. There's always going to be somebody that dislikes or likes you. You can't, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You've got to focus on that 75%. You do a great job on focusing on the positive, especially about you. But it is true. Nothing in life is 100%. So if you make 75%, 100%, don't you feel better?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think this is powerful, especially right now, as most people are homebound during the COVID-19, right?
Yes.
And so I think that's really powerful. Most of us are working from home. And I also really like what this ancient Chinese proverb said: if we do not change our direction, we are likely to end up where we are headed. That's so true. So simple. So anyone listening today, really think about that. Where are you headed? Where are you directed? And you have the choice, just like you said, the choice to turn on the key in the car, to get it going. You have the choice what direction you want to go. And it doesn't mean just because one person's going one way and I'm going a different way, it doesn't mean one's better than the other. We're just going different directions. Would you agree with me?
Yes, and isn't it funny that tiny little rudder that's this big on a big ship moves the direction. So if you're 5 degrees off in the beginning, okay, that's a little bit, you don't notice it, but you better be on top of your day, which you do really well, because every day you're very focused on your list and things. That's not so bad, but if you keep going and letting it go, you're going to be way off track, and then it's harder to get back on track. So I do think it matters, and that's why it's so good to have accountability partners like you and other people. So,
we're all in to support one another. And in my life coaching certification, I learned something, and it reminded me of that when you said what comes out of someone else's mouth is a reflection on them. And the positive from that, I learned this, and it was such an aha, because when I used to compliment people, compliment so many things I loved about them. The woman who was training me to be certified in life coaching, she said, Jessica, that's a reflection of what you admire in yourself.
Isn't that interesting? And I remember you saying that too. And it really is amazing that if somebody else says something about you, and maybe it's negative or positive, it's their opinion, it's what they're seeing. And sometimes people can take it personally if that person says something negative or if that person says something positive, but that's also the kindred spirit thing too. It's interesting to detach, isn't it? To look at it like it really is about us inside, and other people are players in the movie of our life, but not necessarily, the script writers. And we have free will for a reason. So we learn about ourselves through other people. And that's, I think, the gift of everyone. If you look at everybody with a little bow on their head that they're a gift, then life feels a little bit better because you're a blessing or a lesson. But either way, you're teaching something.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I really like how you say a daffodil is a daffodil for a reason, and a rose is a rose for a reason. Just because they are different does not mean one type of flower is better than the other.
That's right.
Plain and simple.
That song,
right?
Everybody's beautiful in their own way.
I totally agree. So I just thought that was pretty powerful. And some people may prefer daffodils, some prefer roses. I say if you're a daffodil or rose, find the ones who love you and prefer you, right? That's pretty much what you were saying in here. So I'm going through your book. This can actually probably impact someone listening today. Pruning yourself hurts now, but later on promises happier results of beauty and joy. Tell me more about that.
Well, I personally don't like losing $1 million. I don't like breaking up with a fiance. I don't like having my grandmother die in my arms. I don't particularly recommend these things. I didn't enjoy being sexually abused. Those are all really bad things, okay? They're really bad. But here's the thing. Out of all of that pain and suffering, those things, just like that rose bush, and my mother used to have this big, beautiful rose bush, and every spring she'd trim it down to a nub, and it looked like it would never come back. But sometimes you have to get rid of the bad stuff. You have to get rid of the friends that aren't friends. You have to get rid of the negativity. You have to change your thinking. You have to reframe the bad experiences. You have to prune things away. And sometimes it's really hard when you have that one branch that's really flowering and it looks like, I want to keep that. I want to hold on to that. But maybe you need to let that person go. Maybe you need to let that job go. Maybe you need to let that thinking go. Maybe you need to let that house go. Maybe it's time to move on. And you have to cut it off. And then what happens in time is it just grows and it becomes thicker and more full and more beautiful. But pruning hurts. I'm not going to say that there are things in my life that haven't hurt. They have. And that's why I wrote the book. And that's why I do what I do, because I love when people can say, okay, I'm not finished yet. If I'm alive, this end of my story isn't written. So maybe something more beautiful than I could ever ask or imagine is going to come out of this. And isn't that a more exciting and healthy way to live? It's more accepting and more loving and kind to ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And I find the older I get, I'm 44 right now.
Baby. Baby.
So I'm also discovering that quality over quantity, right? The quality over quantity, which made me remind of that quote or statement in my life. I like what you say. If you stand next to a pile of manure all day long, but you don't touch it, do you smell like manure at the end of the day? Right?
Yes.
If you stand next to someone who is spraying beautiful fragrant perfume all over themselves, and you're standing next to them, do you walk away smelling like perfume too? In neither case, did you actually place manure or perfume directly on you? No. Then why do you pick up the fragrance of both simply by standing next to them? That is so true. I mean, I've hugged some friends and then hours later, I'm like, what's that smell? It's their cologne or their perfume smell, right? I haven't hung out next to a pile of manure, I can say. But I just thought that was really powerful, because anybody listening to this, right? You could be standing in one place in your life and all of a sudden perfume can come to your presence or manure can come to your presence. Are you just going to stand there, right? No, you're going to you're going to move, unless it's perfume or cologne you like, then that's a little bit different.
But how many people, places, and things in our life are the manure, the symbol of the manure? How many people, places, and things are the perfume? And I think what we have to do is really, and this is one of the things, because I'm 57, so I'm a lot older than you, I'm much more selective who I associate with, who I'm friends with, where I'm working, what I'm doing, and do you have integrity? Do you have love and kindness? I'm more into the character traits. But I will say that sometimes, it's sometimes difficult to walk away, because if you're standing next to the manure, you think that that's normal smelling, but it's not. You need to get away to really realize, no, you need to get some fresh air, and you're going to feel a whole lot better. And I know that this is your show, and I shouldn't be interviewing you, although I have to get it in. You have the most powerful you ever told me is the bus analogy or the airplane, when I was going through a tough time with a friend. And you said, Deb, it's like this. Your life is a bus. You got so many seats. Sometimes you got to get somebody that you want on, somebody else has to get off that isn't as good, and that's okay. And you wish them well and send them love, but that new person has to get on the bus, so the other person has to get off, or plane, or whatever. And I think it's so true. It's really the same idea, the manure and the perfume. But isn't it true? You hug someone and then you smell. It's like when people used to smoke all the time. You come home smelling like smoke,
Yes, I totally agree. This one I shared in a Habits Facebook group, and they loved it. As you know, in my Create the Perfect Day, which is part of my Create a Wow Life, I have my morning routine. I stick with it. And I really like how you said, when you take vitamins, do you take a bunch of vitamins in one day and expect them to give you a lifetime of positive results? When you go to the gym, do you lift weights once a month and expect to build solid muscles which last forever? Do you brush your teeth once a day? Ooh. And go the rest of your life feeling as if it is humiliating to ever brush them again? Do you find combing your hair more than once a day agony? When you water your plants, do you water them one time and say, okay, I water my plants, they never need watering again? No. So it's about the habits, it's continuous, and it keeps growing. I love that analogy. I shared it inside a Facebook group. And they enjoyed it as well, Deb. I tagged you in that. I don't know if you saw that or not. So
no, I have to get better. You're very good. You are the connector for a reason, okay? There are so many things that I learned from you. You're very good. You're very organized. And when people take your hero exam, they will understand where the organization comes in. Your name. You guys, everybody, ask for the hero exam. Write her, email her. She'll have to give it to you.
Well, let's just give it to everyone right now. Let'sgohero.com. It's a 60-second test. I'm actually going to interview the gentleman who owns that company in the future.
Fabulous.
It's an amazing test, isn't it? 60 seconds, it reveals your communication code. Yeah. I thought about that so much today when a gentleman reached out to me to pitch something, which you got to give him credit, right, for doing that. And I'm sitting here thinking, we are not in the same communication level whatsoever. And we're just different communication codes. It doesn't mean one's better than the other, right? It's just the communication codes,
right?
Styles. That's all it is. So wow, there's so much value in here. I feel like we could talk forever. You're one of those people I always have fun with, and I feel like we always say, Jared, you and I always joke we could all be roommates and just have an absolute blast. I don't think we would ever sleep.
Oh my gosh, he's adorable.
Yes, and the square peg was not designed to fit in the round hole. I know quite a bit of us have heard that in the past. Just don't be what others expect you to be, right? Be who you want to be. In the past, I always thought I had to be a certain way. And I learned, no, just be yourself. And you're always going to have people. I mean, it sometimes fascinates me, right? I had someone complain I was too positive. I've had people complain.
When someone's complaining about you too. Hey, I had someone complain that I needed to rein in my charisma once. So there you go.
Oh my goodness. And then someone said I shouldn't be teaching people to go after their dreams. It's just that, and instead of me, because one of my previous weaknesses, my coach taught me, instead of sitting there wanting to attempt to understand those people, just release it, just let it go. It doesn't mean we have to understand them. Doesn't mean they have to understand me. We still can love and respect each other. So now we're going to get into the next segment, Deb. Now that we spoke about how to create a wow life for ourselves with all these Debisms I spoke about, and your golden nuggets in your book here, The Sky is Green and the Grass is Blue, we're going to talk about ways you can wow other people, because a lot of people come to me and say, Jessica, how do you wow others? And I always use the illustration because somebody asked me this. Does this mean you have a yacht and you're going to take everyone on your yacht? No, sometimes it's the simple things. And I like how you quoted Saint Teresa, the little flower of, is it Lisieux?
Yeah, Lisieux, yeah.
We cannot do great things. We can only do small things with great love. And then you go into, whenever you give away your time, treasure, or talent, you have successfully volunteered. I'm a huge fan of volunteering, and that's part of my balance in my book. You can freely give anything of yourself away, expecting nothing in return. A smile, a consoling word, a prayer are all free gifts in the world and priceless. I absolutely agree. It doesn't have to be anything grand. I had someone 2 weeks ago reach out to me and said, Jessica, you don't realize you literally saved my life.
And I know you've done that for, I think, more than one.
Yes, I've had others say, change and save their life. And that's what I'm so passionate about, the Wow Power Players, and you as well, Deb. It doesn't mean it has to be anything so extravagant. It's just every single day we're on a mission to wow one person. I say when my 2 feet hit the floor every morning, my goal and mission is wow at least one person, because that's what life is all about, right? And I like how you have different ways you wow people. And I mean, there's so many. And if someone's stuck on how to wow, okay, I do have it in my book, Create a Wow Life. And if anyone's stuck, I really like how you go onto 2 journeys. One, you were going to send, let's see here, there was a doctor who was in a jam and needed a beating heart surgery item. You could have just put the item in a FedEx package, but you wrapped it with leopard wrapping paper.
I did.
I love it. And you said the extra 10 minutes it took you to wrap that gift created an immortal smile of sunshine.
Yeah, they may still be talking about it today. It's been a few years, but that was at Brigham and Women's Hospital, and I will never forget that. And I was at the time, because that's when I was taking the little notes for the books, for the book that I wrote. And I remember I would send a lot of things overnight. And you could send an op cap, you could send the beating heart surgery equipment overnight, that's fine. But I literally thought, those guys are working so hard.
Yes.
They are so tired. They're so stressed out. Michael needs this really in a jam. I'm going to put some wrapping paper around it in leopard with a big leopard bow with some sprinkles, put it in the FedEx and make them smile, right? And believe me, that hit roaring. I know, Deb said the cat with leopard paper. And you know what? It seems silly, but you know what? When you're laughing, the cuckoo clock's off again. When you're laughing and you're smiling, isn't that great? Isn't that great to feel happy and alive and smile? Because when you smile, you build endorphins. And what do endorphins do? They make you feel good. You're smiling, I'm smiling. I'm feeling happy just looking at you smiling. We are smiling people.
Yes.
So
Anybody
great.
listening?
So little things. Yeah, and that's where the purple sprinkles come in. Although I have had some complaints by some people, because one of the builders over at one of the house I just sold this morning, the builder was like, those pink, it wasn't pink, it was gold for him. They exploded all over the place.
Oh no, I was laughing. Ironically, I was wearing silk purple shorts, and I opened up your book and it was purple wrapping and purple sparkles, and
yeah.
I loved it. It was quite the experience. Okay, so anyone looking for inspiration on ways to wow people, I always say I do have a celebrity. I actually have different celebrity connections. I'll never say their names out of respect. Anyhow, they mentioned just a smile saved them one day. So it doesn't have to be anything sometimes huge. Sometimes you may not even know it. I really like these examples that you give. Do you like to bake? Well, great. Try out a new recipe and bring it down to the fire department or local police station. I don't know if you like to bake, maybe use a recipe, Deb. I would say that actually tastes good because.
Okay, everybody, here's the inside secret. Jessica knows I hate to cook.
Yeah. So I would say those poor fire department, or if you're going to do a new recipe, tell them it's a new one. Do you like to talk? Tell someone that they look nice. I love to compliment people only if it's absolutely necessary. Sincere, right? Sincere.
Yeah.
I'll never forget, this gentleman looked at me when my girl was little. You know, she's not little anymore. And someone said, "Oh, your little girl's cute." And he goes, "Wait, she actually is cute." He took a double look and he shared with me. He tells everyone that. I said, "You shouldn't be telling everyone that. If the baby's not cute, don't be saying it's cute. Just say, oh, congrats, you have a baby," right? Be honest. So The next one is, do you like to write? Send someone a thank you note. I am a big believer of thank you notes. The next one is, do you like to shop? Yes, and I'm also a big believer in this. Pick up needed items. There's women's crisis centers. I know I've been part of campaigns myself out there to help support different people. Do you enjoy the elderly? Go up there and listen to them. I did that for over 3 years, Deb. I don't know if you knew that about me.
No, I didn't know that about you.
Every week I went and read to them and visited with them.
That is beautiful.
I took my daughter with me too. Do you like to garden? Well, I do. I'm not good at it. I'll tell you right now.
But you're a forest bather.
A forest, yes. Forest bather, yes. Anybody listening is probably thinking, what is that? Yes, you're fully clothed and there's no water. It's just a way to connect with nature.
Okay.
So if you like to garden, though, I really like what you said. Pick flowers from your garden and bring them to your local hospital.
Yeah.
Right? Do you like animals? Volunteer and visit those animals. Oh, I've gone and and I'm not a crier and I sat there bawling. I can't do that one again. I did rescue a dog, as you guys probably heard too. Do you like to read good motivational books or magazines? Yes, 2 hands up, right?
Yeah.
For me. And share them with others. It could be, at your local gym, nail salon. I don't get my nails done, but it could be, or pay it forward to a friend, which I just love that little inspiration, Deb, that you give on ways to volunteer, because I'm like you, there's more happiness in giving than receiving.
I believe that is true. And it's always good to recycle happiness.
Yeah. Yep, what goes around comes around, right? The recycle thing.
Well, I believe
Deb,
it.
do you have anything to add? I know that there's so much more Debisms in your book. I just wanted to highlight some of my favorites, and I'm grateful for everyone listening. So do you have anything to give as we wrap up?
No, I just really want people to, I just want to thank you very much for having me on the show, because I just feel very blessed that I get to work with you, and I've wanted to know you, I guess 4 years ago. We were going to try to connect and you're going to be on my radio show. That's another story. You can listen to my interview with you. But I just really want people to connect with you, because my gift is that I know you and that you've been a blessing in my life. And I really hope that through this time together, that people will get to know who you are, and they will discover how to be a wild person, how to be a great mom, how to be a great friend, how to manage time, how to write. You've written 7 books. How to be humble, because you know some really big famous people, but everybody is an equal person. How to serve God, how to keep your priorities straight. And you're beautiful and young, and you've got many more years to live and do a lot of things. And I just want people to get, just life is good, and we all have our moments, but connect with you, and Deb at debscott.com. You can find me on Facebook page. If you find Jessica, then you'll find me, because I usually am trying to grow up and be like you.
Yes, and I love your show. If anybody wants to listen, we did raw, live, real coaching.
Yes.
Got into some deep stuff in life. Your show has 2 million listeners. I'm so proud of you, Deb Scott, the Best People We Know show. I always think about the best people we know. We're so grateful to know those great people. So anyhow, don't keep this a secret. Share it, and we can't wait to hear from each one of you. Have an amazing wow day. Bye, everyone.
Bye.